What makes Lady Macbeth such a compelling, fascinating, and diabolical character? What is her deal? Why does she resonate so much? Why is she so memorable? Why is she, I can't talk, why is she such a powerful villainess? Oh, that's a lot of sibilance there, which brings me on to some of her key quotes that you can see here. Out damned spot when she's hallucinating the blood. Unsex me here, right at the beginning. Oh, I should have gone in chronological order. Sorry for the confusion. Right at the beginning of the play, when she is asking, invoking, commanding the spirits to take away her femininity so that she is able to kill King Duncan, look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it, that she says to her husband. Let's be duplicitous. Let's deceive. Let's hide our true selves. The duality of human nature. And anyway, on to the next one, the last one, sorry. I have given suck, which I have abbreviated and refers to when she talks about the baby. Oh, sorry about that. The baby that she would, if she'd promised to Macbeth that she would do this, she would, whilst it's smiling in her face, pluck her nipples from its boneless gums and dash their brains out if she'd sworn to do it. So anyway, I think of these as the S's. I associate so many of her quotes with the letter S. Spot, sex, serpent, suck. Now, she aligns herself with the devil. She makes this pact, if you like, with evil and sin. Again, one of the S's, sin. She commands the spirits, unsex me here. She invokes the supernatural. God, it's so much in terms of sibilance, isn't it? She goes beyond just being a killing machine. Somebody who is able to dispatch of people without regard, like her husband, Macbeth, on the battlefield. She, being a woman, doesn't have that inherent natural ruthlessness and ability to act without empathy. Hence why she has to command the spirits. And one of the most memorable quotes that all of us remember, easy to write in our essay, that unsex me here, and the asking of them to pour thine spirits into my ear and fill her up with the direst cruelty from the toe to the crown. I'm sort of paraphrasing, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so really important there that she is able at this point to command spirits, and she acts as this catalyst for regicide, able to persuade and manipulate with the valour of her tongue instead of the sword like Macbeth, because his valour is in butchery, killing on the battlefield. Hers is in the tongue, through language, a bit like the witches, which is why we can often see her as being the fourth witch. People often call her the fourth witch. Again, she uses words and language as tools to get what she wants. I often wonder why Shakespeare paints her as so cruel, why he's created her as a character that is just so awful and ruthless. On the whole. Well, I think it's because it's much more shocking for a Jacobean audience to see a woman become masculine, to see a woman become fiend-like, to see a woman become bloodthirsty, and to see a woman overstep her place, and to see a woman encourage her husband to commit regicide. It is truly shocking. And yet, is it? Is it really? When we think about the biblical story of Adam and Eve, the audience will be familiar with the notion of a woman's tongue, a woman's words, and a woman's rebellion, if you like, or overstepping or subverting, leading to sin and the expulsion from the Garden of Eden. So it was due to Eve that Adam and Eve were cast out. It was due to her listening to the serpent. Again, let's talk about the serpent in a moment with that key quote, be the serpent under it. But it was her listening with her ear, Again, the symbolism of the ear. I'll do another video on the ear in Shakespeare. It is her language, her words that invoke and invite sin, just like Eve in the Garden of Eden. So woman is already known to the Jacobeans from the Bible as being untrustworthy, as being someone who, if she's not kept under control, and if she becomes too powerful, she can easily align with sin and evil. She is easily corrupted. Therefore, it is up to man to keep her in control, under control. Sorry. Unfortunately, or fortunately for us, because she's such great villainess, but Macbeth is not able to control his wife. In fact, it is the other way around. She controls him. She is monstrous femininity engendered on the stage. She is monstrous femininity writ large, taken to its most corruptible extreme. And here she is more grotesque than the noble, valiant, brave killing machine that is Macbeth, because all she needs to do is use her words, and yet she can reduce him to a quivering wreck. She belittles him, she chastises him, she goads him, she encourages him, she calls him a child. She says basically, you're not a man. She calls into question his manhood. The power of her words, so much more violent than Macbeth on the battlefield. And we see this violence, and I'll look at this quote briefly. I've briefly written down, I have given a suck, which refers to, again, the child. She calls it tender, to be able to love the babe that milks me. She then goes on to say, using these violent verbs, I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked, there we go, that violent verb there, plucked my nipple, so visceral, from his boneless gums. Oh, the imagery of boneless gums, so soft and vulnerable. And dashed, violent verb there, the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this. The idea of reducing a tender, smiling, vulnerable, soft baby that is hers at her nipple to brains, to be dashed out against something solid like the wall we're imagining, is so disgusting, so visceral, so utterly diabolical, that she is a force of evil. We are meant to be repulsed. We are meant to recoil. We are meant to be deeply shocked. And so we can understand why Macbeth is so easily manipulated by her. This is how powerful she is. She can evoke and create these images, these nightmarish images, just through the valour of her tongue. She is a witch because, in the sense, she's like a magician bringing forth the most awful, horrific things into life. What else did I want to say? So yes, she has to cast off her natural maternal instinct. It has to become corrupted. It has to become completely the opposite, devoid of any empathy in order to go through the regicide. However, because she is a woman, I believe, Shakespeare then, her function in the play is to show that corrupt, monstrous femininity, this type of behaviour, is not natural for women. What will be the end result of this? She can't just go about willy-nilly chopping people down and unseaming them like her husband without remorse, because it's what women do. No, they don't do that. So what will happen if she assumes this masculine-like position? Her own mind is going to return to haunt her. Her mind becomes the monster that haunts her. A bit like how Macbeth says, "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind." For Lady Macbeth, her mind becomes full of the symbol of their guilt, this blood, the spot, out damned spots. Now, damned, obviously relating to the imagery of hell, damnation, their souls are damned. That is so emotive, that language, right? And it's religious, it's biblical. Again, the links to Eve in the Garden of Eden. Everything comes back to this notion of a woman as like a temptress, potentially corrupting. Oh, that's my cat. Hello, cat. able to be swayed by sin. Note the exclamation there, the punctuation, the heightened emotion there. We've seen her use exclamatives before, but always when she's in a position of power. Hello? Oh, kitty cat, you've been outside. You're all wet. I'll dry off. Anyway, she's been outside in the rain. When she's previously used exclamatives, it's when she is chastising and berating and manipulating Macbeth. She's in a position of power. Here, though, we see her in a somnambulic, half dreaming, half awake, sleepwalking, not really here, not really there, liminal space between the waking, hello, and asleep. And here we see the guilt. The guilt has gotten to her, and we see that in the exclamation. It's too much to bear. Whereas previously, the exclamation showed that she was angry and exerting control. Right. So there's this symbolism of the water as well. She's trying to wash out that spot. She'd said previously, a little water clears us of this deed. Actually, wow, how wrong she was. How wrong, because she cannot wash away that guilt. She cannot. It will return to haunt her. She is still female. She is still woman. She still has empathy. She still has a conscience. And it returns to haunt her. The witch, the fourth witch, if you like, the fiend-like queen is haunted, as was her husband by Banquo, by a ghost, but she's haunted by her own guilt. Blood, this spot, the echo of blood throughout the play that seems to drip, 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 just like the never-ending blood. They're like a blood dripping, if you like, through the pages, on the pages. There are, I think, 40 mentions of the word blood. Anyway, just quickly looking at look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. Serpent, obviously biblical imagery, Garden of Eden, what lurks, what hides beneath the face that you're presenting. But just before this play was written, the gunpowder plot the gunpowder plot, which was designed to blow up the Houses of Parliament and dethrone King James, and led to those behind it being arrested for treason and tortured. The coin, it's like a medal that was in circulation after this to sort of commemorate it, to remind the populace what will happen if you commit treason. You will be tortured and you will die, because nobody threatens the king, nobody threatens the great chain of being. Anyway, this medal had on one side a flower and on the other side a serpent. That's my cat again. So this speaks to the duality of man, the duplicity, the deceit, showing one face but being something underneath. And here she is telling and instructing her husband, look like this, but be this. She is so in control here, using commands and organizing and telling him what to do and how to behave. But again, the audience would automatically associate this phrase, this command, the imagery, the simile of look like this, but be this, with the coin that had been, that was circulating after the, I want to say commemorate, no, my words, after the capturing and the torture of those who were responsible for the gunpowder plot, which had sought to depose King James. So the audience would be left in no doubt as to how guilty they were. And also, in a sense, this would already foreshadow that there would be a punishment for this type of treason, because there literally had just been a punishment for this type of treason already in Jacobean England under the reign of King James. You can't usurp, you can't overthrow the king, you can't disrupt the great chain of being, whether you're man or you're woman. It doesn't matter. You cannot overstep. You will be punished.